Hello world and welcome to this tutorial. In this video I will try to make a Django app in under 10 minutes. I've been learning Django for about 4 months now and in my free time, part-time. I don't have an IT background, I'm actually an accountant by profession, and I wanted to learn how to code for a while now, but I was quite scared and intimidated by the whole process. Let me just tell you, you can do this. It takes time and patience, but if you put in the work, you can learn how to do this. And in my opinion, you do not need to pay in order to learn code. There's really an abundance of free knowledge out there. Everything I learned was from free sources like YouTube. What I would really recommend is just watch a couple of tutorials and um, start coding small projects. You will learn really fast by doing it, and all the syntaxes, the functions, and really being able to write code that comes from practice. So that's the fastest way you will learn. Now this video is for beginners, but I will assume that you've seen some basic Django tutorials. If you haven't, I will put some links in the description down below from code entrepreneurs. They're really good. Now, um, if you just want to see what you can do after learning Django for about 4 months, then welcome to this video. Just sit back and relax and enjoy the video. One last thing, I will be going through this quite quick because I'm aiming to do this video in under 10 minutes, or the coding part. But if you want me to do a more thorough video, or you want me to go through the basics, please let me know in the comments down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can, and I will post my code into GitHub. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, we're in our terminal and let's fire up a virtual environment. Great, that's created. Now I'm gonna go into the directory where I want to create my project. It's empty yet. I've got only got my bootstrap file. Great. Django admin start project. Let's call it editor. There it is. Cd into editor. Python, and then let's check if the project is installed properly by running the server. Manage.py run server. Let's go there. Great, it works. We have obviously some migrations to apply because it's the first time we created a project. Let's do that straight away by going Python manage.py migrate. Great, it has compiled all the code it needs to. Now we need to create our Django app. Django admin start app. Oh, I need to give it a name. Let's call it article. All right. Django admin start app article. Great. Yes. Now we'll go over to our code editor. Go to open the files up editor. Okay. Great. Now we have our basic Django structure. We need to go into the settings of our project, and we need to tell it that we've created an app. As you can see here, installed apps article. Great. Now we need to go to views.py, and the first thing that we're going to do is create our home page. Dev home. I'm gonna make it a request. Turn render. Oh. Request home.html. Cool. Now we need to tell the location of this page. For that we need a new file called urls.py. In here we're going to copy the urls.py from here. We need to tell it. Sorry, home name is home. And then we need to import from article import views. Yes, use. Save this. Now we need to make sure. I made a mistake. It's in the folder migration, as you can see. It needs to be in the folder article. Okay, great. That was a tricky one. Now we need to go back to urls.py and we need to tell our project the location of all the locations in our app. I know it sounds confusing. Go here, include path. If this empty, then we do the function article dot. Oh, why is it not doing anything? Dot else. Okay. Oh yeah. I also need to put this in quotation marks. So there. Great. We've got in our base we refer to the URLs. In our app we refer to the to the views, content views, your home.html, and obviously we need to create our home.html file. But for that we will create first a templates folder, and then here a new file home.html. Here let's just put a simple world, and then we also need to go to our settings. In our templates here, tell Django where to find the templates folder. Save it. Done. Views up by done. Okay, let's render this out. See what it looks like. Cool, works. Okay, now we're going to include some style in our HTML page. I'm gonna go to getbootstrap.com, get started, and use a basic template. Copy it, go to our home HTML, paste it, save it, see if it's installed properly, and it is installed. Great. But actually, we've got Bootstrap installed now, but we can also make use of standard templates within Bootstrap. And actually, I like this one. And we can basically copy and paste the HTML file and the CSS file. And we're going to do that. You can download the examples. I already did that over here, and I extracted it into my editor folder. When we go over there, I'm just going to open it up 1 second. Oh, as you can see here, I've already got it extracted. And the one we wanted was called cover. So we go to cover, we grab our index.html, we drag it over to our templates folder, and we also have our cover.cs. We'll get to that in a bit. First, do the index.html and actually just copy, paste it into here, save it. Let's rerun it. Great, so it's here. But as you can see, there's no styling involved yet. That has to do with two things. First one is this link, and then this link. Let's fix this one first. Now, as you can see, it refers to the assets /taste CSS bootstrap. These are things that I should include in the folder, but I don't want to. I don't want to have dependencies on all these separate types of files. We can include a bootstrap link, and that's what we're going to do. Save it. There you go. Now you see not everything renders out properly, and this is for a reason. We're using a generic library, and the previous reference was to a folder with customized maybe images or customized settings. So whenever you do this, bear in mind not everything will render out properly, probably, but we can come closer, and that's because we can come closer to the real product that is mentioned on the examples page by using this cover.css, because if you open this, put it here. This is basically all the customized styling that this page has included. Now, in order to do so, we can use the settings.py, go to settings.py, and make use of a standard location that Django has created for CSS and JavaScript. So let's go ahead and create that one. We go to our article app, create a new folder, post static. In the static, we will grab the cover.css, put it there. Oh, it didn't cover it. Move it. Yes, great. Now we just need to tell our HTML file where to find the cover.css file. So we'll go back to home.html, and here, as you can see, it refers to cover.css, but this path is not correct. We need to actually make this refer to this to the static folder. Where is my static? Here, over to the static folder, and we can do that in a Django customized Django way, which is the code you're seeing right now is the standard Django method of referring to a path, static, and then we go cover.css, save it, and then we need to tell Django to make use of the static function. So we go here, load static, save, and if we go back to our page, refresh it, it doesn't work. I think I know why this is. Your web browser stores the variables for the styling references in a temporary folder. This basically needs to be reset. The easiest way I usually do it is just close it. Then I go to my terminal, close the server, run the server again. And then hopefully it works. Great, it works. So here you see that we now have all the customized styling that we need. And it works pretty neat. Great. Okay, now we need to create our second page, the article page, where we will create our function, the article downloader. So first, let's go into template, new file, article.html, save it, and let's just do a test article, save it, and then we go to home, and then over here, what we can do is do the HTML way, go to the article, and then create here, we will say article, and then in our views.py we need to create the function. So to dev article request, and then we'll return request article.html, and actually we don't want to enter any other arguments, just to be complete. Define argument. All right, and then now we also need to go to our url.py. Over here we need to include our article path. We import it from views article, and we name it article. Save. Okay, this should work. Refresh it. Great. As you can see here, now we have our page article, but as you can also see, we don't have any styling in here. Now we would like to have the same styling that we have in here, and the easiest way that we could probably do is by just copy and pasting it into here, and then just call this article, and then it can. But if you have 10 pages, this is really cumbersome. And also, if I have to make any changes to it in those 10 pages to the navbar, for instance, then most likely I will make a mistake. Django has a pretty cool way to tackle this by creating a base HTML file, which you can use as a basis for all your templates, for all your HTML files, for the generic stuff. So something like a navbar, we will include in the base HTML, and refer it from our home HTML to the base HTML and do the same for our article. Let me show you what I mean. No, I don't want to create a new folder, new file. Base.html. Whoops. Name it. Here we're going to copy, paste this. So here what we want is all the generic stuff, which is basically the references to our style, our nav bar, which is this part here, until here, the end of our nav bar. This is just a comment, so I can later on know, I can quickly see which part of the HTML structure this is. So here, as of here, I wanted to render the content of a specific of the page itself. So I will go basically what this piece of code says is what follows here is a block of content specific to the page that's being called upon. So if it's home.html, it renders out the specific pieces of code of HTML parts that's specific to the home. The same goes for article. And an end block basically means it stops. And as of here, the generic stuff starts again. Now let me show you how that actually looks like. When we go into the home, and then basically delete all the generic stuff. Delete it out here as well. And then we go, say, extends base.html. Oops. So now we've said extend the base HTML for the generic part. This is our block of content that's specific to our page. Render that. So save it. We'll go to home. Oh, this one doesn't work, obviously. And there you go. This our home page works. But to really see if it works or not, we're going to use this on our article page. So copy paste this here. And let's put here. There you go. It works. Now there's one thing I forgot to include in the base HTML, which is called a csrf token. csrf token. And now basically what this token does is it prevents a specific type of malicious attack on your web app. And it's built in Django, so that's pretty neat. Save it. Now that we have styled our pages, we can go ahead and create the content of this page. And what we're going to do here is basically download an article and summarize that article. And in order to do that, we're going to make use of some Python libraries. And we're actually going to do a little bit of machine learning. So let me just go to my terminal and I'm going to install some dependencies. Now dependencies basically mean some other packages or Python libraries that I'm going to use inside the app. So the first one is spacey. Pip install spacey. Now that I've already installed it, so that's great. And then what I need to do is also download a pre-trained model. Now I'm going to explain you in a bit what this is. First, Python spacey download. Okay, great. Download installation successful. So basically, spacey is a natural language processing library built in Python If you go to the spacey.io, you can read all about it. It's basically a machine learning model library that you can use to analyze text and basically you uh, do specific machine learnings on text. If you want to know more about it, you can go ahead and take a look at their website. But basically, we're going to use one of their pre-trained models to understand a piece of text that we're going to throw at the model, and then we're going to ask to make a brief summary of it out of it. All right, let me just go back because there's another dependency that we need to install, which is newspaper. Pip3 install newspaper 3k, and newspaper 3k is basically a web scraping site specific for articles. All right, let's get into our views.py, and we're basically going to start coding our article. Now the first thing that we're going to do here is import all the necessary libraries that we need. So we installed spacey. We're going to say import spacey from newspaper import article. And then inside our article page, we're basically going to oh, not that was here, I'm sorry. Here we're going to start a new function called the article download request. Now, we didn't create the page yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to ask a URL. We're going to insert a URL in our page here, which we're going to build in a bit. And then we're going to take that URL as input for both newspaper and spacey. So this one is a request.post.get article. And this will make sense in a bit. NLP. We're going to load our spacey model, and now we need to tell which one. And for web quotation mark, obviously, always forget those. So this is our pre-trained model that we're going to use from spacey. Now we're going to define a variable article get from, so we're going to use the function article from newspaper and use our URL for that. Article.download speaks for itself. Go.parse, so we parse the text. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find this as our text. So this basically is the function that gets the text from the URL. Now we're going to say print doc. Then we're going to say doc dot dot title is article dot title, and this again is a function in the newspaper that says that gets the article title. That's basically says it all. And we have doc image article dot image. Then we print the doc image, and then finally we're going to use our machine learning model by saying that article that we stored. So here we say this variable is stored with the article itself, and then we're going to say NLP, which is a function of spacey, and then doc summary is article dot summary. Now this is a very basic summary, so sometimes it just shortens the article by removing stop words and stuff like that. Then we want to return in the page, so we want to render the page. So we want to return the following arguments and rendering the page. Request article.html. And now I'm going to do something which probably a lot of people are saying, hey, you can do that in a more, how to say, neat way. I'm going to define all the variables and store them in Django reference variables, as I like to call them. I'm not sure how they're called, but you'll see in a bit what I'm going to do with this. So in this variable text, I'm going to store doc. And as you can see here, doc is article.text. And later on, I'm going to use this in my HTML file. Now, I'm going to write out every single one of them. Title. Now, obviously, this one's called doc title. And then we go, let's call this one image. And then refer to as doc image. And then summary. Doc summary. Oh. Now, what I could do is I could define a variable called context, and then here what I could do is say text is doc. Oh, sorry, not like this. Like this, and then do that for each and every single one of these variables, and then just put context here. But I like to do it like this because I don't mind my code being very long and inefficient as long as I can read it and it's simple to code, because I'm still a big beginner. First you build, then you optimize. So now that we have created our function, oh, that's not right. Yep. Yep. So now that I've created our function, we basically need to go ahead and render everything out in our article. We first need to create a form so that in this view we can give this variable the URL. Now, in order to do that, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bootstrap, get started, and here what you can do is in forms overview. Here you can see all these kind of codes that you can just copy and paste for forms. Now, I have a very specific one that I like, but you can just choose which one you want, and it's very well documented. Now you can choose any form you would like from this one here. I'm just gonna go over here and copy and paste this one. We can actually use a header as well. We can go here, main class. Reuse this part of the code. If it will work along main class here, and then and main, and here we're gonna say enter URL, save it. Let's see how it works. Unable to connect. It's something that's not. Oh, I'm not running the server. Run server. Thank you. Oh, go into article. Great. Now here we can pass something and press submit, and then something will be returned. But what we also need to define what it needs to return, and we did that over here in our views.py and article.html. Here you see all these variables that are stored with the functions that we're going to render inside our HTML. Now what we need to do is in our HTML page, we need to render out our function in views.py. So first we need to render out the title. Let's comment this out. And over here we can say h1 because we want it to be a header, and we called the reference title. So we're going to put a title over here. Then I'm going to insert a break, And then let's say we want here the article image. Comment this out. Over here we're going to write the image source tag, image source, and then here, what did we call it? We called it image. Okay. Close it, enter, insert a break. And then here we want our text. I'm inserting these comments so on GitHub later on you can see where I'm rendering which part of the data in the code itself. So here I'm going to use this one, this code. We use it, play class lead, and we called views by, we called text. So our article text, we call it text. Oh. Great. So now a couple of more breaks before we enter our final piece of data that we want to render, which is the summary. Just double checking, did I call it summary? Yes, I did. So here I'm going to save it, and then now this should work, the moment of truth. Let's go to Daily Mail, mail.co.uk. Let's grab an article, this one, copy, paste, submit. Page not found. Okay, so this means we need to go into our URLs up right. So here I define the form action as article download, so this is the URL that it goes to. Now I know the more advanced people, the more advanced programs might say, hey, why are you just not redirecting by moving this and keeping it like this? But I like to keep it in my URL so I know which function is being called upon, and keeping it separate maybe it doesn't make sense, but this is how I learned it. So build first, optimize second. Views.article download. Name is okay. Save it. Go back home. Go to our article page. Paste the link. Submit. There we go. Great. We have our image. We have our title. We have our text. This is a pretty long text. Wow, I'm still scrolling. And here we have our summary. Okay, summary looks good. It's really, really small. It says, I think, advertisement, the new lockdown in England at a glance. England will be put into a full national lockdown that will last until February half term. It looks okay. I mean, this is a little bit of a word sentence, but and it talks about something about the categories. All right. Well, we're finally at the end of this tutorial. I definitely was not able to build this app in less than 10 minutes, but I hope this was useful to you. Please help out my channel and hit that like button. It really helps. If you have any questions, any comments, put them in the comments section down below. I'll make sure to respond to them, and I really appreciate you taking the time to have a look at my video. See you guys in the next video. Bye.